Hi friends, thank you so much for tuning into my vlog. If you read my blog on Wednesday, then you kind of have an idea of what I'm going to talk about today. If you haven't read my blog, then maybe after this you'll go read it and I hope that you can get something out of it. Um, Today I just kind of wanted to talk about choosing positivity when it's so easy to choose negativity after a tragic situation, or if you're experiencing something in your life that I don't know, just doesn't make you happy. Maybe you're not very happy with the life that you're living right now. Maybe you've lost someone. Maybe you're experiencing some kind of past pain, whatever it is. Sometimes it's hard to choose positivity over negativity. And what's even harder is sometimes choosing to love God in the midst of that pain. So that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today and give you a couple of examples of how I've chosen to choose a positive perspective when it would be very easy not to. So, have you ever noticed how, one, it's really easy to be negative? When people ask you how your day is, a lot of times we want to just say, oh, busy, doing a lot, exhausted, or we want to tell them something negative for some reason, instead of saying, I'm really happy that today the Starbucks line was not that long and I actually got to work on time. No one ever says that. We typically go for the negative, then talk about the positive. It's easier to be negative, and maybe if you don't do that, you know someone who does. I know sometimes I tend to go for the negative when I'm talking to someone because that's easier to talk about. So, whenever we have hard situations, sometimes it's easier to just focus on the negative. And I wanted to give you a lighthearted example and then tie it into kind of a bigger example of how sometimes seeing the positive in the little things can lead us to seeing the positive in the big things. So, to explain that further, I think I've talked about this in one of my vlogs before, but when I was in high school, it was the summer before my senior year. Yes, the summer before my senior year. I experienced my first real heartbreak, and I thought that I was never going to be whole again. I mean, I bawled. He broke up with me in his truck in front of my house, and I mean, it was like a country song, right? I was so sad. I'll never forget walking inside and just bawling on my mom's chest, just the most heart-wrenching cry I think my mom's probably ever heard me cry. And I remember after we broke up, I did all the things that you typically do when you break up with someone, right? Like sit around and listen to sad music. I didn't really watch chick flicks, but I did lock myself in my room for a few days, and I didn't want to hang out with my friends, and when I did, I was moping around about how my boyfriend broke up with me and how they probably all had boyfriends or whatever I wanted to mope about. But I moped around a lot, and I missed out on a lot of summer. I missed out on a lot of time with friends. And about halfway through the summer, I realized that I was missing out on so many things that one day I knew I would regret. And so I started hanging out with my friends again and trying not to talk about my breakup and how devastated I still was. And slowly but surely, I started seeing all these little moments that really blessed my life, whether that was just getting to hang out and laugh so hard with my big group of friends that were going to be my friends all through my senior year and into college, or growing closer to girls that I probably would never have met if I had kept dating this guy. And I started realizing that I was creating all these relationships and experiencing all these moments that I never would have done if I was still in this relationship. And I started being thankful to God for giving me these moments. And something that's so cool that comes from that story is that the same girls that had become, and some guys that were my friends in high school, Those were the girls that ended up being in my wedding, and they ended up being the people that were there for me when I lost my husband. You see, God was blessing me in those little moments that seemed so little at the time. I had no idea He was going to bless me so much more through these individuals on such a larger scale in the future. You see, sometimes it's easy to sit around in a ditch of despair when we're going on one road and we think, this is the road I want to be on. I can't see how any other road is going to be any better than this. This is the road that makes me happy. And then something happens and we fall off into our ditch. And the only way to get out of it is to take a new path. But when we look at that path, we think, there's no way that that path could ever make me happy. I don't want that. God, you knew that that's the path that I wanted. You knew that's what I wanted for myself. Why would you make me go down this route? But the way that I started pulling myself out of my ditch of despair, not when my boyfriend broke up with me in high school, but going forward and thinking about now, 2 years out of losing my husband, I want to be out of my ditch of despair. And I started thinking to myself, how do I begin getting out of that ditch? How does one decide, I'm going to choose happiness? I'm going to choose to love God more than my ditch that feels more comfortable. And I started thinking, it's the little things. It's choosing to see the little blessings of every single day. And slowly but surely, that's going to help me crawl out of the darkness that I've not necessarily been in, but I know a lot of people who have messaged me and have commented, have talked about how they really truly feel that they've been in a darkness. Well, I think whenever, when I talk about being in a ditch or you talk about being in that darkness, what we're really referring to is this caving in towards ourselves. How do we get from looking inward to finally saying, God, okay, I'm ready to look outward and I'm ready to see the good in the world again. And I realize that every day it takes just seeing the little blessings. And slowly but surely we'll start trusting God that this new path that we're walking onto, He'll bring us happiness down that path. No, it may not be the path that we were on before, but this new path, if we trust and we love God, then we trust that this new path is going to be just as amazing as before, because God loves us and He's going to take care of us in the little moments and the big moments. I hope that this can bless your heart, and whatever you're experiencing, that right now you can say, okay, God, I'm going to choose to see the little things, the little blessings that maybe no one else even notices. Maybe some people say are coincidences, but the little blessings, I'm going to choose to see those, and I'm going to trust that those little blessings are going to lead me down a new path, and that you're going to take care of me on that new path. Because I promise you He will. But we have to choose to trust Him. We have to choose to love Him more than that old path. We have to choose His path for our lives, because His path will always be better than our own. Thank you so much, friend, for tuning in today. If you didn't get a chance to read my blog from Wednesday, I hope that you will. And I just want you to know that I'm praying for you, even if I don't know you personally. I want you to know that there's a prayer going up for you tonight, that whatever you're experiencing, whatever ditch that you're in, whatever you're holding on to, that you'll choose today to start letting it go and choose a positive perspective, to choose to love God more than anything else in your life, even more than your other path that you want more. Thank you so much. Have a great night.